Hello people, Raz here. In my local friend group, I'm known for building rather powerful budget decks. And I will share one of these today. I call it Crippling Gambling Addiction. It is a darkness deck with only cards from the Elves Origins 4 set, Prologue of Ataraxia. And the Ataraxia's Memoria, since it wouldn't work without it. The most expensive card in this deck is the Ruler. It is Darkellis. She is a light and darkness wanderer with a judgment cost of 1 light and 2 darkness. Whenever a darkness regalia enters the field under your control, you choose 1, and then, if the regalia is her specific regalia, unknown Mother Goose, you choose 1 again. The 2 modes from which you can choose is you gain 2 of either light or darkness crystals, the crystals being a mechanic specifically designed for Darkellis. I personally use poker chips to remember what they are. The more powerful side of her, though, is Starkellis, the Jade Ruler. She is a fairy tale and wanderer, 12/14 with Drain and Bane. And as enter effect, she searches your deck for a fairy tale resonator and puts it into the field, and then you shuffle your deck. And for 1 white and 2 light crystals, target entity gains Eternal and Barrier until end of turn, arguably the most powerful ability of any J-Ruler in this cluster. Then for 1 darkness and X darkness crystals, you can destroy all resonators with total cost of X. Keep in mind though that this will hurt you as well if your opponent plays a lot of the same costs as you do. Then her God's Art, Mother Goose Rising, is a 2-cost God's Art which follows the trend of cheap God's Art in this cluster, and you put any number of target fairy tale and or shadow resonators with different names from your graveyard into your hand. This is a great combo starter to go set up for Royal Straight Flush, another card in the deck, which we will visit later. Then what would be a Regalia Ruler without any of his Regalia, or her? In this case, it is unknown Mother Goose. Of course it is a 4-off in this deck. It is a 2-cost Regalia with Mythic, as all the other Regalia from this cluster have. That means you can only control 1 of them at any given time. Specifically, it costs 1 light and 1 darkness, which is kind of irrelevant in this deck since you most certainly have it all the time. At the end of your turn, you gain a light crystal or a darkness crystal, and it produces its will, like the other regalia from this cluster, for God's Arts, Fairy Tales, Shadows or Mage Arts. The only difference between hers and a typical Mage Art ruler's regalia would be the Fairy Tales and the Shadows. Then, the first 1-drop in this deck, Jeanne d'Arc, Heroine of Shadow. She is a 1-cost 200/200 black shadow resonator with the enter effect of look at the top 5 cards of your deck. You may reveal a light darkness card from among them and put them into your hand. Put the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. A light and darkness card is a card which shares both attributes, light and darkness. A common example for a light and darkness card would be Unknown Mother Goose or Adombrally, since he has all 5 colors. And following the trends of the 5 different colored Parsifals, which she weirdly follows, even though she is not a Parsival, is banish this card, and you gain a light crystal and a darkness crystal. Then the next 4-off is the Shadow Axe, arguably one of the most powerful normal cards in this set, since not only is it a walking kill spell, but it also could finish some games, especially in this deck. It is a 1-cost quick cast Bane 4/4 Fairy Tale with the enter effect of you gain 2 light crystals. And if you banish, darkness crystals, not light crystals. And if you banish a darkness crystal, your opponent loses 200 life. This is a rather powerful effect that almost certainly closes out most games for you if you played this deck or against it. The next 1-drop is a 3-off in the deck. It's Mage Jack, a 1-cost quick cast fairy tale with Drain. Its attack is 400 and defense is 400. And as anti-effect, you gain 2 light crystals. And if you banish a light crystal, you gain 200 life. This is the light copy of Shadow Axe, but it is certainly way less powerful. That's why it is only a 3-off, not a 4-off. For the next card, I am running Nightmare Knight. Most people would argue that this card is not that good, and you should rather run like a Parseval or a Schrodinger. But again, this is a budget list, and these cards are expensive that most people run. He is a 2-cost 6/6 fairy tale. He has both colors, white and darkness. And his anti-effect lets you choose up to 2. Either you could banish a light crystal and look at the top 4 cards of your deck and reveal a fairy tale resonator from among them and put them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. Or you could banish a dark crystal. If you do, target resonator gains -10, -10 until end of turn, or you could just use both, like most people do in this deck. And whenever another fairy tale resonator enters the field under your control, you may return him to your owner's hand. So to you. Well, that comes in handy with the 2 1-cost quick cast fairy tales, since you can save him if he would get removed from the game or anything, because you don't really care if he goes to your graveyard, unless the opponent has a way to get rid of your graveyard. The next resonator would be King of Kings, a 3-cost 9/9 fairy tale resonator, which grants other fairy tale resonators that you control a buff of +400, +400. This is a rather strong 3-cost card, since it also has the effect of you banish a light crystal and discard him, to give target J resonator +4/+4 until end of turn, and then draw a card. I don't know why they didn't just said Inheritance, banish a light crystal, target J resonator gains +4/+4 until end of turn, draw a card, but they chose to do it like this. Then we now come to the first removal spell in the deck. You will see many more. Schrodingers Cry is a 1-drop, 1-cost Mage Art quick cast removal spell that removes target rested resonator from the game, and if it was awakened, it cantrips. And the awakening is very cheap. You just have to banish a light crystal. The next off is a 3-off, Shadow Strike. It's a sword art and mage art, 2-cost darkness chant with quick cast. It destroys target resonator. Then if it was awakened, your opponent has to banish another resonator. The awakening is banished 2 darkness crystals. This can be very powerful, but this is the card you side deck the most. Usually you side deck it for either World of Darkellis, Black Moonray, or World Ender, depending on what your matchup is. Then, for the next resonator, we choose the one that is the best catch of Darkellis when she judgments. A 4-cost 12/12 fairy tale resonator named Save the Queen, which has the permanent effect of J resonators your opponent controls gain -4/-4. Again, it's a mirror of the king, since you can also banish a darkness crystal and discard her to give target J resonator -4/-4 until end of turn, and then draw a card. Although this card is straight up more powerful than the other one, since this one clears all the 1-drops of the opponent, unless they are buffed as well. Then the one gimmicky combo card, which this deck more or less relies on, rather less, since it can come in handy if you can awaken it. It's Royal Straight Flush, a 2-cost quick cast mage art with the effect of destroy target resonator. That itself is good enough, but it has the effect of, if this card was awakened, instead destroy all other non-magic destroy all non-magic stone entities your opponent controls. and put all cards revealed by this card's awakening cost from your hand into the field. Its awakening cost is rather weird. That's why it is so niche and only a 2 of instead of a 4 of. Because you have to reveal 1 Save the Queen, 1 King of Kings, 1 Nightmare Knight, 1 Mage Jack, and 1 Shadow Axe from your hand. But it is very powerful if you combo into it after your God's Art, since you usually have all 5 of them on your hand then. The next card is to get rid of the things that could go dangerous for you. It is called Darkellis' Smile. It is the first non-quick cast Mage Art. It is a 1 cost which lets you look at your opponent's hand and then choose a Chant, Addition, Regalia or Stranger Resonator and just straight up remove them from the game. Or if it was awakened for the cheap cost of banishing a Darkness Crystal, you can choose any card from among them and remove them from the game instead. The next card is one that generates you those said crystals at best. It is 1 pair. It is a 1 cost quick cast Mage Art, which gains you 2 light crystals and 2 darkness crystals. Or if you have awakened it, for just revealing 2 cards that share a name from your hand, you gain double that much instead. The next card is a great boss monster, and a rather cheap one at that. It is a 5 cost 15/15 first strike precision and barrier against strangers, Shadow. The Shadow Swordsmaster may cost 3 less if you have 3 of each of the crystals, so 3 darkness or 3 light. Then she is a rather cheap 1 light and 1 darkness 15/15, with the enter effect of you may banish any number of light and or darkness crystals. You draw a card for each light crystal banished this way, and your opponent banishes a resonator for each darkness crystal this way. It is a cheap and reliable board wipe, since it has a barrier against strangers, and in cluster only format the only thing that can cancel anti-effects is a stranger. Or a Marvel Rare Chant that uses said stranger. The next card would be Cage of Mother Goose, since you don't want your opponent to have any of their regalia or roads, or anything really. It is a 2 cost Fairy Tale Edition, or it is a 0 cost if you recover target, or it's a 0 cost if you rest a recovered Fairy Tale J Resonator you control. And its enter effect is you remove target non-J ruler, non-magic stone entity from the game. And when it leaves the field, you put it back into its owner's hand. Sadly, you can't target... Oh wait, no, you can target your own stuff. That is very good, but you can't abuse it to reuse enter effects, sadly. The next thing is Stone Deck. Very easy, very quick. 4 of the Ataraxias Memoria, since it's a white and black stone in the deck. 4 Magic Stone of Heaven's Rift, since it's a white and a black stone. And 2 Darkness Magic Stones, because we mostly run Darkness. Although you could go for 1 Darkness and 1 Light Magic Stone, or 2 Magic Stones of Moon, or 2 Black Moon's Memoria. That's what the stone was called. And for the side deck, I have chosen to run 3 Black Moon Rays, since this deck can do almost anything except handle with very strong J-Ruler based decks. Black Moon Ray is the answer to that. It's a 1 cost quick cast Moon Art, destroy target J-Ruler or Stranger Resonator, and if it was awakened for a Moon Will, players cannot chase to discard. For that you could run the Black Moon's Memoria, or what I do is I run the World Ender, since it protects my J-Ruler more or less, since it gives her imperishable, which means that if she dies I can judgment her just again. It also produces Darkness or Moon Will for Moon's Art and God's Arts. I will most certainly never use its tap ability, I will only have it for imperishable. And then of course the last card in the side deck is the World of Darkellis, a 3 cost Mage Art with quick cast. It is her ruler specific modal chant. Every ruler in this set got one. This card's effects are: you gain 2 light crystals and 2 darkness crystals, draw a card, or your opponent banishes Regalia, you search your deck for a darkness Regalia, reveal it and put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck, or each player chooses a resonator they control, then banishes all resonator but the chosen resonator. The last effect is the one that you're gonna use most certainly, since it's the only really relevant one. You have enough ways to get rid of their Regalia, and or enough ways to get their crystals. Anyway, thank you for watching, and visit another channel that I will link in this description probably, since if I remember correctly, we played some games with this deck and his deck. It is in German though, mind you, since I am not a native English speaker. I will hopefully put on a video for my other cheaper lists on this channel very soon. Until then, see you guys. Bye.